The year is 1995. Tadao Ando, then a self-taught Japanese architect whose work was defined by stark concrete, simple geometry, and the manipulation of light, won the prestigious Pritzker Architecture Prize. Now, you have to understand, this wasn't just another award. This was a statement. It was a complete shock to the system, because at that exact moment, the rest of the architectural world was screaming for the absolute opposite.
Okay, just look at this contrast. It's kind of wild. On one side, you have everything Ando stood for, this stark, almost severe concrete, the pure elegance of simple geometry, and this incredible obsession with how natural light could literally shape a space. But on the other side, the global consensus was all about opulence, just piling on complex ornamentation and creating these buildings that practically yelled their purpose at you. So Ando is this quiet minimalist in an age of total maximalism. He was a whisper in a room full of shouting, and he was about to prove that the whisper was the most powerful sound of all.
And here's the key, the real insight that changed everything. Ando's genius wasn't about what he added to his designs. It was about this incredible, systematic realization he had, that the greatest power, the most profound connection, came from what he dared to take away. He committed himself to this idea of swapping out all that material excess for a deep, almost spiritual kind of minimalism. He truly believed that to connect a person with the raw elements of nature, with light, with shadow, with water, you had to first get rid of all the noise, all the luxury, all the distractions. This one commitment became the bedrock for everything he would ever build.
So, to really get how he turned this powerful idea into a full-blown architectural revolution, we're going to follow his journey. We'll start with his really unlikely beginnings, see how he was forged in struggle, and then we'll define his core philosophy, the principle of silence. After that, we'll dive into the specific systems he used to make that philosophy real, look at his lasting legacy, and finally, figure out how we can take his powerful ideas and apply them to our own work and our own lives.
All right, let's start at the very beginning. Because to get Ando's architecture, you really have to get the man himself. His vision, it wasn't born in some fancy university studio. Nope, it was forged in the fire of adversity, of discipline, and a constant, unrelenting fight for his place at the table. Ando's path was, to put it mildly, unconventional. He grew up in early poverty in Osaka. He never went to architecture school. Instead, he was a professional boxer. I mean, stop and think about that for a second. The discipline, the endurance, the laser focus on what's essential, the controlled energy you need in a boxing ring, he took all of that and poured it directly into the rigor of his buildings. He taught himself architecture by traveling the world, just meticulously sketching the great works of masters like Le Corbusier. He was absorbing their lessons not in a classroom, but with his own two eyes and his own hand. And this right here is the heart of his origin story. Because he was self-taught, he was always fighting for legitimacy. He couldn't just flash a degree or rely on old-school connections. His work, his buildings, had to speak for themselves. And they had to be flawless. This constant pressure forced him to develop an absolutely uncompromising methodology. He figured out that to create what he called silence as architecture, he had to systematically strip away every single non-essential element until the building itself was a pure, undeniable expression of elemental truth. In the end, his struggle literally became his style. And all of that struggle led to this, the philosophy at the very heart of his work. This is what I'm calling the Ando Principle. It's a deeply spiritual approach that sees architecture not just as a place to live, but as a carefully constructed space for the soul to breathe. So what is the Ando Principle exactly? Well, at its core, it's this systematic belief that the minimal is the spiritual. It's the idea that a building can be a rigorously designed environment built for one specific purpose, to encourage introspection. See, it's not just about making things look simple for the sake of it. It's about using that simplicity as a tool to quiet the noisy outside world and awaken our inner one. It's about creating a void that the human spirit can then rush in to fill. Ando's principle really stands on three foundational pillars. First up is the geometry of contemplation, using form and material to create intense focus. Second, there's light as material, literally sculpting with sun and shadow. And third, immersive nature integration, bringing the outside world in, but in a really controlled, deliberate way. So let's break each one down. Pillar number one is his mandate for a geometry of contemplation. This all starts with his signature material, that stark, exposed concrete. By leaving it completely raw, he just eliminates all the visual noise. There's no paint, no wallpaper, zero distractions. Then he uses these incredibly simple, powerful geometric forms: circles, squares, rectangles. The purity of these shapes creates this profound sense of order and calm, stripping away any extra decoration and forcing your attention onto the pure, unadulterated experience of the space itself. Which leads us perfectly into the second pillar: light as material. For Ando, light wasn't just something that lit up a building. It was a building material, just as structural and important as concrete. His famous Church of the Light is the perfect example. The main wall has no physical cross. Instead, the cross is a void, a precise cut in the concrete that lets a brilliant sliver of light pour through. The symbol is made of nothing but light itself. He turns a blank wall into this dynamic, shifting, emotional canvas. I mean, the man was literally building with light. It's incredible.
And the third pillar is immersive nature integration. Now, this isn't just about sticking a big window in a room, oh no. Ando demands a controlled dialogue with nature. Think of his water temple, where you walk down a concrete staircase, you go into the earth, and you end up underneath this massive lotus pond. He uses these carefully chosen elements, water, light, shadow, not to distract you from the silence, but to actually amplify it. He makes the quiet of the space feel even deeper, more profound, almost sacred.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy, the minimal is the spiritual, and we've got the three pillars. But a huge question is still hanging in the air. How do you take these beautiful, abstract ideas and turn them into a real physical building? How does a philosophy actually become architecture? Well, the answer comes down to two things: discipline and systems. Ando's commitment to silence wasn't to some vague idea he had. It was something he put into practice through a series of almost monastic, highly systematic routines. These systems were all about enforcing material precision and a deep sense of honesty in the structure. This is the how behind his genius. His main system was the Absolute Concrete Formwork Protocol. Ando was obsessed with perfection. He demanded this process of precise, totally seamless concrete pouring that left the material feeling as smooth as silk. And this perfectly shows his goal. He wanted to highlight the tension between the raw, almost brutal nature of the material itself and the incredibly refined, disciplined human effort it took to control it. The walls themselves tell a story of struggle and refinement.
His second key system was the meticulous circulation design. Ando systematically designs the journey through his buildings to be this slow, almost ritualistic experience. He'll guide you down a long, narrow, dark corridor, compressing the space all around you, only to have it suddenly explode into a vast, light-filled room. These sharp, totally deliberate shifts in scale and light are engineered to maximize the sensory and emotional impact on you, making you hyper-aware of your own body, the space, and of course, the silence. And so, through this incredibly disciplined philosophy and these tough, rigorous systems, Ando's transformation was complete. It's really the ultimate story of a journey from a self-taught outsider to one of the most respected figures in the world, a journey that took him from the boxing ring all the way to the global stage of architecture. And this brings us right back where we started, to that crucial moment in 1995. That Pritzker Prize wasn't just an award for a couple of nice buildings. It was the ultimate validation of his entire life's philosophy. The world's most prestigious architectural body was officially saying, yes, the subtraction of noise, the purity of form, and the mastery of light, that isn't just a style. That is a profound contribution to the art of building itself. So when you think about his legacy, here's the bottom line. Tadao Ando is the one who institutionalized minimalist concrete as a spiritual and poetic language. Before him, a lot of people just saw concrete as brutal, cold, maybe utilitarian. He proved that through disciplined honesty and an uncompromising pursuit of light, this humble material could be used to create some of the most deeply moving and spiritual buildings in the world. He basically gave silence a voice. Now, this isn't just a story about buildings. The deep, universal lesson of the Ando Principle is really for all of us. It's about understanding that the spiritual power of your work, no matter what you do, is so often found not in what you add, but in the noise you have the courage to get rid of. So how can we actually apply this? Well, start by identifying the unnecessary distractions in your own work or your life. What are the complexities, the luxuries, the little ornamental habits that just add noise but no real value? Then you have to find the courage to be ruthless in getting rid of them. Just like Ando, learn to use elemental forces, like the context of your environment or the pure focus you can bring to a single task as your main tools. But above all, you have to commit to the discipline of subtraction.
Tadao Ando built his entire legacy on one profound truth, that the highest form of luxury is actually simplicity. The Ando Principle gives us a systematic blueprint for defining silence as architecture through material honesty and geometric austerity. And it reminds us of an unbreakable rule. When you eliminate all the noise, your truth becomes profound.